But now I'm frozen, still holding on for your life to stop myself from running.
Hey guys, so I wanted to do some healthier recipes for you guys. I wanted to film a video dedicated to some healthy and summery meal ideas. I feel like as soon as spring hits, most of us are in like health mode, trying to get healthier and a little bit more fit and toned for summer. So these are all super easy and they are totally versatile. So you could have them for like lunch or dinner, and they're all super delicious. These are some of my favorite recipes ever. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, then give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below what other kinds of videos you'd like to see. I love your guys' feedback. Also, if you're not already, then don't forget to subscribe. And if you're feeling super generous, then make sure to hit that notification button so you can see whenever I post a new video. So I hope you guys will enjoy this, and without further ado, let's get right into it.
Can we rewind?
So if you follow me on Snapchat, then you've probably seen this dish a bunch of times. It's so good. So the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees and get a pot of water boiling over the stove and season it with salt. And the key to flavorful pasta is to really season the water well. So for the fish, I'm starting off by preheating an oven-safe cast iron pan over medium-high heat with 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, and you want the pan really hot. So then you just want to season your fish with some salt and pepper, and when the oil is shimmering and just slightly smoking, that's when you want to add your fish into the pan, and then just go ahead and season the other side with some salt and pepper. So for the fish, I'm using halibut, but you can really use any kind of fish that you'd like. So then you just want to let the fish sit in there undisturbed for about 2 to 3 minutes, and you don't need to flip it or anything. After that, you want to pop it into the oven and leave it in there until it reaches an internal temperature of about 145 degrees or until it's completely opaque. For the pasta portion of the dish, I'm starting off with some clean basil and stacking all the leaves on top of each other and then rolling them up and slicing them. So you can use as much or as little basil as you'd like, but I happen to love basil, so I like to use a ton, but I'd aim for around 2 tablespoons. So then you want to take 1 cup of cleaned grape or cherry tomatoes and slice them in half. And for the dressing, I'm zesting half of a lemon. So I'm just squeezing half of the lemon into a separate dish and taking out 1 tablespoon for my dressing. And then I'm adding 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and seasoning the dressing with some fine kosher salt and black pepper, and then just whisking everything together. So for the pasta, I'm using orzo, which is small and kind of looks like rice. And I actually like to weigh mine out to see how much I'm going to make. I find a good amount of orzo is between 1 and 2 ounces per person. 1 ounce is like more for a side dish and 2 ounces is more for like a main. And then I'm cooking my pasta for about 6 to 7 minutes. Then I'm taking 2 small cloves of garlic and smashing them to remove the skins and pressing them using a garlic press. After I drained the orzo, I put the pot back over medium heat and added in 1 tablespoon of butter and let that melt. So then once the butter is melted, you want to add in your garlic and let that sit for a minute, but just until the garlic is fragrant. And after that, I'm just adding my pasta back into the pot and my grape tomatoes along with it and giving it all a quick stir, and then covering it with a lid for 1 minute or just until the tomatoes have softened. So after that, you just want to finish it off by adding in your basil and some salt to taste. And to plate it, I just took half of the pasta and put a piece of fish over top and drizzled on half of the dressing, and it's done. So this next meal idea is great for a lunch or a light dinner, and it's especially great if you're trying to limit your carb intake. My favorite part about this salad is definitely the salsa that goes over top. So to make it, I'm taking some grape tomatoes, which I prefer because they're really nice and sweet, and I'm just cutting them up into pieces. And then I'm taking an avocado and cutting it into little sections and spooning that out. And then finally, I'm chopping up some red onion. And then just squeezing over some fresh lime juice. And then to finish it off, I'm adding some garlic powder for flavor and some salt. One of my favorite types of fish for salad is salmon because it has a great flavor and it's also super affordable. So I'm just seasoning up some salmon with some salt and pepper and then adding it to a pan that is really nice and hot where the oil has just come to the smoke point. And then I'm seasoning the back with some more salt and pepper and then letting that get nice and brown on one side. So then after that's been in the pan for about 2 to 3 minutes, I'm just flipping it over and then popping it into an oven that's been preheated to 400 degrees, and you want to leave leave it in there for about 4 to 6 minutes, depending on the thickness, maybe more if it's a little bit thicker than what I'm showing you here, but you definitely do not want to overcook it. So because I want the fish and the salsa to be the stars of the dish, I'm going to make a very simple dressing. So I'm just adding in 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil to my salad bowl. And then I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar and then seasoning it with some salt and pepper. And then I'm whisking everything together. And the fascinating thing about making a dressing with the proper proportions of oil and vinegar is that you'll actually see the dressing starts to change color and it starts to get thick as you emulsify it. So after it's nice and thick and emulsified, I'm adding in some mixed baby greens and then I'm grating over some fresh Parmesan cheese. And oh my gosh, you guys, definitely recommend you try this. It's so good and it adds so much to a salad that's very basic. And then that is literally it. So then to plate it up, I'm just starting with a base of some salad greens and then layering on my fish and then finally topping it off with the avocado salsa. This dish is perfect for summer. It's really light and refreshing, and the best part is it takes absolutely no time at all to prepare. For my last dish, I wanted to go with something that was completely vegetarian, so I'm making a copycat version of my favorite Costco salad, as well as some braised portobello mushrooms, and it doesn't look like much, but these mushrooms are so incredibly delicious. So I'm starting off with some pre-cooked quinoa and laying it out on a baking sheet that I've lined with some aluminum foil, and then I'm just drizzling over a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and seasoning it really well with salt and then just mixing it all together. So for the vegetables, I'm cutting up some grape tomatoes into some really small pieces, and then I'm just cutting up some cucumber. All the vegetables in the Costco salad are cut up really finely, so I'm trying to replicate that the best I can. And then after that, I'm cutting up some red pepper in the same small tiny pieces, and then I'm finally slicing up some green onion and chopping up some parsley, and I recommend flat leaf parsley if you can find it. For the dressing, I'm starting off by grating the zest of an entire lemon and then squeezing the lemon juice into a separate bowl. And then I'm taking 3 tablespoons of the lemon juice and pouring that in with my lemon zest. And then I'm pouring in 3 tablespoons of white wine vinegar into that mixture as well. Then after that, I'm adding in a few good pinches of salt to season it and grating in some black pepper. And then I'm slowly pouring in some olive oil and I'm whisking that together as I pour it in. To the quinoa, I'm adding 2 cups of cooked mung beans, which I already cooked in advance, but feel free to use canned or any kind of bean you prefer. So then I'm adding in all of my chopped vegetables and my chopped herbs and pouring over my dressing and then mixing everything together. And this actually tastes best when you let the dressing kind of absorb into the quinoa and flavor the whole salad. So I definitely recommend letting it sit for a few hours in the refrigerator before you're going to eat it. For the mushrooms, I'm starting off by chopping up about half of a sweet yellow onion and setting that off to the side. And then I'm removing the stems from some large portobello mushrooms that I've already cleaned. So these mushrooms actually get a quick marinade in some balsamic vinegar. So I'm adding 3 tablespoons of some balsamic vinegar to a bowl and then adding in 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And I'm stirring that all together and then plopping in one of my mushrooms and letting that sit in there for about 5 seconds per side. And mushrooms are kind of like a sponge, so you don't want to let them sit in there for too long. And I'm just turning them over and making sure that both sides are nicely coated. So I'm preheating a large pan over medium heat and adding in 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And then as soon as the vegetable oil starts to kind of shimmer and ripple, I'm adding in my onions and just sauteing them until they're slightly translucent. After that, I'm adding in my mushrooms and cooking those for about 2 to 3 minutes until the tops are kind of seared and nicely brown. And then I'm flipping them over and cooking them on the other side. And then I'm pouring in 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar into the pan and letting that reduce for about a minute. So after I've let that reduce for about a minute, I'm adding in a package of vegetable stock and 2/3 of a cup of warm water. And then I'm just bringing that up to a simmer, seasoning the mushrooms with some salt and covering them for a total of 8 minutes, but flipping them over halfway. So after that, I'm moving the mushrooms over onto a plate. And now that the liquids have reduced quite a bit, I'm turning off the heat and adding in 2 tablespoons of cold butter and whisking that all together so that it emulsifies with the sauce. And again, I know this does not look like much, but I swear this is the most delicious way you can make portobello mushrooms. It's a definite must try. So I hope you guys enjoyed these recipes. As always, if you guys try any of these out, I'd love to know what you thought of them. And also if you're feeling like it, I'd love to see your recreations. So you can send me a picture on Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter. And I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.